G'day everyone, so I got something a bit different today. I'm going to be fixing my pocket bike. So this is your standard Chinese 50cc pocket bike that you see everywhere, except this one I've modified the frame, and the engine is 110cc 4-stroke that you get out of like a Chinese quad bike and stuff. So the problem with it is it doesn't run very well, it doesn't idle properly, and the carb, every time you turn it off, the needle doesn't seal and it just spills fuel out the overflow till the tank's empty. This whole thing, the engine and the carb, everything was in some dude's backyard. It's all super corroded, so I've got a new carb. We'll pull it apart, check if the new one looks any good, and replace it, see if it runs better, take it for a test lap around the car park, do some wheelies. It just came in like a little box. I've read all sorts of stories about these, about like comically bad manufacturing and having bits missing out of them and holes not drilled and stuff. Came with a little air filter, came with a fuel filter, but the main thing we want is the actual carb. So it's definitely exactly the same model as the one I currently have on there, but we'll pull the bowl off, we'll have a close look inside it and see if it looks like this is actually even going to be an improvement. I can already see some manufacturing issues, so let's have a closer look. So taking a closer look, the first thing I can see out of the box is you can see down in this hole where it's been cast, there's flashing still in it, so we'll be able to get in there with a deburring tool and remove that. The way these carbs would have been made is they cast this, like the main three aluminium pieces, the bowl, the main body and the little top cap, they cast them like they have a negative sand shape, pour the molten aluminium in there and you get like a rough carb shape out of it, and they have to go through and drill all the holes and thread all the screw threads and everything. So that's part of the casting where it's come where they haven't like drilled it out properly, where the casting's stuck out. We'll pull it apart, we'll keep pulling it apart and see if there's anything else nasty looking like that inside it. Everything else looks okay. The finish is good, like you can see where the joints were, where the casting was put together, but that all looks alright as well, they match up. So we'll take the bowl off. So the bowl's just 2 screws, should pop off. This is very not corroded inside compared to every single other one I've ever had. So we're running brass jets, plastic bowl, nothing to be unexpected. We'll take these jets out, have a look if they've bothered to number them. So these little jets are what, the size of the hole in here is what decides how much fuel is going into the carb. So we'll pull them off. They should be numbered, so you know what size they are. I'm guessing they're a copy of like a clean jet or whatever it is. Hopefully, it means you can change them, but we'll have a look. Actually, we'll pull the float out first. The float's just held with this little pin, which isn't actually held in by anything, but once the cap is on, the pin can't slide out. So we'll lift the bowl out, and the bowl comes with this, which is the needle. So the problem with that other one I've got, apart from running badly, what happens is this sits up this way, and as this bit, which is the bowl, fills with fuel, the float goes up and up and up, and eventually, as the float moves up, it pushes this little pin with, you can see it's got a little rubber tip on it. It pushes it up into that hole, which stops the fuel flow. So once the carb bowl is full, it closes off the fuel. It works the same as like your toilet does, and it stops the fuel pouring out. Mine and that bike is so corroded and rusty, this never stops, and it just keeps filling the bowl till it overflows. Overflows up too high, down this little pipe, and then out the side here onto the ground constantly. So hopefully we fix that problem by getting a new carb at least. But we're going to pull everything else out, have a look, see what the rest of the holes and everything look like. So I'll take these out and I'll get back to you. In saying that, I don't really need to go anywhere because they should just unscrew. So we have one of the carb needles here. It's very hard to focus on stuff this close, but you can see that's like a Keen logo, which is kind of funny because it's definitely not a proper brand carb, but it is labelled 3.4, so if we want to go, or 334, if we want to go up and down jets, we know where we're starting from, if it's labelled correctly, to match the tiny little hole that's drilled through it, but it should be right. And then this one, this little top piece is the jet, it comes out, and that should have a label on it too, hopefully. Yes, it does. Can't read it through the camera. 778, 7.9, 773. Anyway, but they're labelled, so that's good. We know where we're starting at. So when I pull the carb out of the bike, I'll be able to check what jets it's got in it, and then we'll hopefully have a choice of different ones, but if they're the same, we know it should run similar-ish. Now we have the top half of the carb here. What we'll do is we'll take the needle out first. So in the top here, I can unscrew this, and there's a spring, and there's a cap, and there's some other stuff, and then, whoop, there's the needle. So this piece goes inside the top. If I can, I've got no depth perception because I'm looking at the camera, and you can see the needle that sticks out the bottom of this comes down inside the carb. So this needle is tapered, and it sits in the top of one of the jets, and as you do, like, turn the throttle, this slides up and down. So the big grey plastic bit changes the amount of air that the carb lets through, and then this needle, because it's tapered, so if the needle's right in the tip there, it lets lots of fuel through, and the further down the needle goes, the bigger it gets, and the less fuel it lets through. So that's our closed throttle position. We got no fuel looking through the carb. Then as this opens up and lets air flow through past it, it's also letting more fuel out. So the reason carbs are so susceptible to all this little dirty one doesn't work, because any of these little tiny holes, if they get blocked up and the needle can't move, or it's not sealing, or anything's worn or out of shape, it doesn't run properly. So hopefully this one's good. So far I haven't seen anything that looks out of, like, there's no weird shapes going on, there's no weird burrs or anything going on. The only weird bit so far is this little hole in the front. One thing that has happened is this little brass piece, which fell out a second ago. Oh wait, it already fell out. This little brass piece goes in there. This isn't in my other carb, so maybe that's why the other one runs so badly. But this was sitting on top of the jet, and then the needle was in the end of this to seal against the needle. This is slightly different top to bottom, and I don't know which way up it was when it fell out, so I'll have to work out which way up it goes. But hopefully that piece missing is why my current one doesn't run very well and doesn't idle properly. So further looking over it to see if we have any issues or holes not drilled, the way these are sand cast, you can't cast internal passageways, so everything has to be drilled in a straight line. But this fuel, for example, this is where the fuel comes in. It has to go in, then it has to go across, and then this is where the little needle comes and blocks it from, or opens and closes to fill the bowl up. But obviously we can't drill in, across and out. So what they would have done is set it up, drill the hole here, and to get the cross hole, that's what this little plug is from. They've drilled through that way, and then once it's drilled through there, they've drilled this way to meet it up, and then pressed a little brass barb into there. So you can pretty much work out where all the internal passageways and stuff go by just carefully looking at where the lumps and bumps and stuff are, and you can guess where the drill has come in from, and then you can see if it's got a little brass, like a plug or something in it like that one, you know that that's where it stopped to change direction. So, like people have said that I've read online, they've bought cheap carbs like this and stuff hasn't been drilled all the way through. So I've gone around with compressed air and just blown it through all the holes, and everything is flowing and like it should be. So I'll pull the last two. I can see that's drilled through because that's just a little screw that holds the throttle open to adjust where it idles. And then the idle air screw is another little air port, but that just brings air into here, which once again, we can follow it through. You can see which direction it was drilled from. That's all flowing good. So I think I'll put this back together now. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Here, all the finishes are okay. All the sealing surfaces are flat. Everything looks good. So reassemble, stick it on the little pocket bike, see if it actually runs any better. So I've removed the current one. As you can see, it's very nasty and old inside. But unfortunately, I don't think there's a number on this main jet, and the little jet here I can read just, but I'll pull it out and we'll clean it and see if I can actually get a better read of it. I think it says 4. So I did find some numbers on these original ones, and these are a bit smaller, so it'll be a bit leaner. We'll see how it goes. If not, we'll swap these jets over, but I'm just hoping with the new carb that it sort of idles and stuff properly now. So it's on there, it all fits like normal. The only thing different is this sticks up a little bit more than the other one. So I've had to screw the fuel tank on sideways instead of that way because it hits that, but that's fine. One thing I did notice I was putting it together is these threaded holes where this carb bolts on, there's little slots, so if you stripped the thread out of that, you can slot a nut in there instead, so that's good. I can't use the little fuel filter that came with because the fuel filter is way bigger barb than this one, so this hose that fits both of these doesn't fit on the fuel filter. But I'll put the fuel on, we'll put some fuel in it through that little tiny hole. I need to put a bigger cap on this because it's annoying, but I'll put some fuel in it and then we'll see if it starts. Alright, now kind of annoyingly, but also kind of cool. This bike's electric start, but it's only electric start, so, and I don't have a battery, so I have to jump start it every single time. But I haven't tried to start it yet. I've got the choke on. We'll give it a crank, see if it starts. First go with a new carb. So far there's no fuel pouring out of it, so that's good. See if it wants to actually start. Wow, okay, I'm impressed at that. That's the first time this is idled low enough that I don't have to hold it from taking off because the centrifugal clutch wants to engage. So, wow. That's awesome. I was expecting like a slight improvement, but it just runs mint. That's not even like the correct jets or anything. So I'll let it idle for a minute, warm up. I'll put some air in the tyres because the back one leaks, and we'll take it for a lap around the car park, see if it actually runs wide. There's no way it's going to run nicely wide open because the jets are wrong, surely, but I don't know, it's pretty cool. Okay, so I've just stuffed around for 10 minutes going and finding the GoPro with the chest strap. It's just been sitting here putting away happily the whole time. Last time the chest strap was combined with the mini bike, the GoPro ended up smashed, so hopefully not this time, but let's find out. Yeah, I've taken the choke off. Yes, okay, I think this is good. Yeah, rad, it runs perfectly. Oh my god, this has a lot of torque. There is still a bit of a hesitation there, you can probably hear it, but I can't have well it idles now. Like, I had to always be sort of revving it and it'd die and it'd come up, and now it's just happy as. Might play with the fuel screw a little bit, we'll adjust it, and then we'll do a timed lap. So I'll set my little course out and we'll see if it's faster than it was with the old carb. How good's that? I can't believe it just sits there idling now without trying to drive away constantly and turning itself off. Where's the air for this side? This is such a dumb thing with how much torque it's got. So I've just been going around laying out my track. The track I use is always the same. Come on, camera. The track I always use is the same one so I can compare stuff. Unfortunately, the trailer there is parked on top of where I put one of the corners, so I won't be able to do the track tonight. So we cut this video now because of the carb. I'm super impressed with how well it runs, just straight out of the box. No settings, like different jets, everything. But I have another one of these little pocket bikes with its original 50cc two-stroke. So I'll put up a video racing the two of them. We'll work out which one's actually faster, whether the 4-stroke one, which is friggin' 3 times the weight now but a bit more power, or whether it's the 50cc one. So if you want to see that video, let me know, I'll get it made. But other than that, I'll see everybody in the next video. Hopefully this was interesting, a little bit at least, and goodbye.